Good evening. I'm Joel Dean, the place to be. It is February 20th, a Thursday night, Friday Eve. We're getting ready for payday, and we have a lot of stories to talk about right now. We are going to start with this one. It is a puppy theft. This one is wild in terms of how this was executed, if it actually turns out this way. A woman from Columbia, Maryland, facing felony charges now after allegedly stealing two puppies from a woman's home in Lancaster. So they're selling puppies in Lancaster. And then a woman comes and arranged to meet to get these two 8-week-old toy poodles. You're seeing how cute they are. They're right there on the screen. Okay. Woman shows up, says the puppies look great. In the meantime, can you go get me a glass of water real quick? And then the host, who's trying to sell puppies and be a good guest, being a good host, says, sure, okay. And then when that happens, the owner of the puppies leaves the room to get the water. Bam. Police say that the puppies are snatched and then taken away. There's the theft right there. Eventually, they are found at the Tanger Outlets in the Old Navy store. The Tanger Outlets is when this person is found, arrested, and now charged with felonies. But pretty simple stuff, kind of wild just to steal animals like that. But like we said, that person has been captured. They're a suspect at this point. We'll see what happens with that one. So York County, great progress. A couple of years ago, they had 26 murders. Last year, I believe it was 5 or 6. And then what happens next? Well, they go on this 104-day span. It's a streak of no gun violence. It's amazing. It's progress. It's awesome. They have this group violence intervention system. It's going great. They have buy-in from the community. But then just a couple of days after they reach the 100-day mark, they do have gun violence last night. A 21-year-old is dead, ending that streak. So city leaders disappointed, obviously, but they say that people have come forward. They've worked towards this. They have maybe some more leads than they usually would in this scenario. That is the silver lining here. You're never going to eliminate all gun violence. I mean, you're not going house to house, taking weapons from everybody. That is just not feasible. That's not what people want. It's not about the Second Amendment. But in terms of being safe as you can be, these programs seem to be working, and they've got some national attention, not just for the streak, but for the progress they're making. So this is the deal. Yes, it's a streak. It was a nice number. It was a milestone. But moving forward, it's about the attitude and what kind of change you're making. And the leaders we talked to today say they enjoy the success of the number, but it's more so the overall progress and maybe even reacting when there is gun violence in a better way to get more prosecutions, to get more convictions. We'll see how that plays out. Bus driver. All right, bus drivers have to deal with a lot, right? Remember when you were maybe riding the bus? Were you always perfectly, in the back? Were you handling yourself the best? Was your behavior perfect? Probably not. And let's just magnify that to maybe a tough day that someone's having. I don't know. But apparently, there was a pretty riled up day. Things did not go well for a bus driver. And instead of maybe reporting which kids were doing what, or going to the administration, possibly trying to contact some parents. Instead, this particular bus driver did something else. Maxine Rose covering this in Juniata County for us. Okay, so give us that scenario again. I kind of painted the picture, but what are you hearing from folks as to what was happening in that bus that day?
Yeah, so we spoke with one woman today who says she's a close friend of that bus driver. From her perspective, what we're hearing is that there was a student who is bilingual, so English and Spanish, and they were kind of acting out. And when they act out, when they get angry, she says the kids then speak in Spanish, and that makes it really hard for that bus driver to understand what is being said. So the woman we spoke with says this is all just a misunderstanding. And
what's a misunderstanding?
Actually, so you just saw it pop up just now, but I'll tell you what it just said. So it's that note there. It says, out of respect to English only, students there will be no,
To English only students, there will be no speaking Spanish on the bus.
Thank you.
We're seeing it.
Yeah,
we're seeing
thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the idea that if the language were inappropriate, that student could be punished, or that there could be a different way of handling it based on what was said? Were they saying it to other students? What have you been able to find out?
At this point, it's unclear, and we haven't gotten confirmation from the school about what actually happened inside that bus.
Is there an investigation ongoing
There is an investigation that is ongoing. Yes, we
from
did
the
also
school?
reach out to the bus driver, and she said she was not advised to speak out. But what we do know is that she doesn't have any surveillance video. So I'm not sure if that's because she's not willing to give that to us or she just doesn't have it. But
I mean, do you know if most of the buses have that?
I believe most buses typically do. Now, this was her own bus, Jody. So like, it's maybe possible, but I
It
mean,
might come down to
most more
policy of
than likely,
the
yeah,
county.
yeah.
The county. All right. So what's her status now? This bus driver.
From
Did
what
she-
we're hearing, she is out of work. She is, financially struggling, um, and she's just kind of staying quiet, like I said.
Okay. So
But
this was a person who had been a bus driver for a long time, right?
yeah, like decades, like 3 decades. Yeah.
Okay. So how's the community responded to this so far?
Well, definitely some mixed reactions, but I will say the woman we met with, she started a petition. That petition, Jody, which was created just yesterday, has now reached approximately 1,000 signatures asking to reinstate that bus driver, give her job back, right?
Hmm.
Because the Roarer bus, which subcontracted her, as well as the district, has suspended her.
Okay.
Right, she's no longer working
Right.
on that
Now,
bus.
suspensions aren't rare. This is what you do when you're trying to work something out. Do we know if she was suspended with pay or not?
I do not know the answer to that. Like I said, the school district hasn't clarified some of those
Yeah.
details.
Yeah, we'll figure that out in the days to come. So, when something's happening, you got to suspend somebody in the meantime as
Yeah.
you're doing the investigation. It's not fair to anybody to have the person
Yeah.
still working at that point. The thing I'd be curious about moving forward is the policy in place that, let's say, if an English speaking student was cursing or yelling out something in English, what is the protocol for punishment? What is the protocol for a bus driver at that point? Because then we could compare it to why it would be difficult to enforce the same kind of
Right.
punishment or rules when
Yes.
it's someone speaking Spanish.
Yeah. Well, it's assumed, right, that, or I guess typically in previous situations, at least that we've covered, right, they're supposed to go to, higher ups, whether that's the principal or supervisor or whoever it is, and let them know what's going on.
Right.
I will say the woman we spoke with had also heard that the individual, like the student that was, acting out, had been moved from one bus to this bus driver we're talking to. So we're trying to figure out, okay, if they
Do you
were
think it's
moved,
one student? Have you heard it's one student at this point, or was it multiple?
we're hearing that there were multiple that were kind of I don't know if like rough housing is the word, but just kind of acting out a little bit. But
Getting
it was,
rowdy? Okay.
yeah. But when the woman spoke with us, she constantly said like he. So
Yeah. All right. Well, and so now we'll take a step back. We don't know
Yeah.
everything here. We're trying to explore this, share with the public what we're hearing, knowing that that's secondhand knowledge, right? We don't know
Right.
exactly what's happening here, but that's what people are talking about, including the person that's behind this petition. 1,000. So, 1,000 people to sign something. We don't know where those people are from. They might be from the area. They might not. They might have heard about this. When you share stuff, you don't know who's really signing what, because that community is not real big when you're talking about Juniata County.
Right. Yeah. And that photo of that sign actually went viral from what I was seeing online. I mean, other people, even out of the state, were
Right.
seeing this sign. So yeah, I mean, it's very likely.
So
that
if you
people are
feel
signing
strongly
it.
about that, you could share that with somebody, and then from anywhere in the country could maybe sign the petition. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Okay.
we just to wrap it up here, it is important to note the school obviously, like I said, terminated that contract there. but that they wrote a statement out to parents, talking about all this. They called it a, quote, racially insensitive note. So
Okay.
that has also struck a chord with a lot of people in the community as well. And so we hear from someone tonight as well talking about that perspective.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess there's a lot of ways to look at it. And one, you can't enforce bad language if you don't know what the language is. So I guess you could look at it from that perspective. You could have said it that way instead of just saying, don't speak Spanish here. So there's a lot of ways to look at it. All right. We're caught up to speed. Thank you very much, Maxine Rose in Juniata County tonight. All right. Last thing here. PIAA. I printed this out. If someone from the other room could bring that to me, that'd be great. But I'll just talk about it in the meantime. The PIAA has been dealing with the possibility of transgender athletes, and should they be participating in sports with the gender they identify with. So not the sex they're born with, but the gender they identify with. The PIAA has been hands off on this for a while, basically saying, school districts, you figure this out, and we will go with whatever you've decided, okay? Right now, we're just showing you some random stuff here. These aren't people that are identifying as transgender or anything like that. We're just showing you some sports highlights. But the point of this was that some were allowed to participate that way. So if they identified as transgender female, they were born male, cisgender male, they could participate in some of these sports with other cisgender born female athletes, okay? But there's new guidance from the White House now with executive orders saying that there's just two genders and that transgender athletes should not be participating in sports that don't match the gender they were born with, okay? So that's coming from the White House. And it's not just a theory. There's the threat of your federal funding would be pulled back, okay? It's not happened yet. It's an executive order. It can be challenged, all kinds of things like that. But that is the scenario that we live in, okay? So you're just watching some random stuff from some female sports that are out there for the PIAA. But that terminology has now changed to match what's going on, once again, the guidance from the White House. So now it's going to be the sex of the athlete, not the gender of the athlete. Theoretically, once again, someone can identify with a different gender, but not a different sex. It's still going to come down to the schools to figure this out in the school districts. And they've given guidance to the school districts. Talk to your solicitor about this. That means the person that understands the law, the lawyer that you've contracted with, to try to figure out exactly how you're going to handle this. So it could still be sticky, could still be messy. We'll see what happens in the future, but that's the clarification. So the PIAA didn't really have a policy except for you guys can do what you want, sort of school districts, and we're just going to let you do your thing. But now that because there's this threat of possible funding being pulled, looks like they're going to be more clear that the athlete's got to match the sex that they're participating in, not the gender. It's a lot of words to explain, but I think you kind of got there if you followed along. That brings us to the weather. No controversy there. It's either cold or it's not. And
well, it's controversial. I disagree. I mean, a lot of people who like the warm are mad that it's cold. People who love the cold, don't want it to be warm. Very controversial, Joby. No?
I was pretending to be frozen just because I didn't want to deal with you anymore.
Well, I never see you have more insight than
I mean, you are my safety.
I know you, but you throw me in at the end of your show, and I feel a little cheated.
All right, we can lead with you next time. I think we should, because it has been so cold for so long. People can't deal with this. But any little bit. If you say 40, all of a sudden it sounds amazing.
It sounds amazing, and that's where we're going, Joel D. Still windy tonight, still windy tomorrow, so it has that wind chill, but we're gradually warming things up. So 35 tomorrow. Looked at Saturday, lots of sunshine, 42. More cloud cover on Sunday, but even warmer, 45. And Joel D, are you sitting? Are you sitting down?
Yes, I'm sitting down.
Pushing 50 for next week. And I'm not just talking about your age. We're talking about warm temperatures as we get
pushing 50 for more than a week. But yeah.
Okay. It's going to be a really quiet weather pattern, other than a mostly cloudy sky for the better part of next week. It's going to be like a week of quiet weather and much warmer weather. And I think we deserve that after this frigid week. You know, we haven't been above freezing since early Monday.
I know. It's been so cold. But the one good thing about the cold is if, let's say you got cold drinks, like you don't got to put them in the refrigerator or an extra freezer. Just throw them in the garage. Just let it be cold and let it ride. So that
free refrigeration. That's what I bring you, Joel D. Free refrigeration.
On the downside, the heating costs are astronomical right now.
Yeah, I've been getting some notes on Facebook that especially folks who have electric heat, they're paying out the nose, really.
Out the nose. It's bad. Yeah. Awful.
Yep.
Awful stuff. Don't even
Warm
think.
it up, though, my friend. Warm it up.
I paid the last one, so maybe I can skip this one. I'll make my wife pay this one. Hey, does that work that way?
You guys are a team. You should be.
I know the money comes from the same place. Doesn't matter. Speaking of money, payday tomorrow for some people. That's good.
Yeah.
Friday. Very good.
Bring it on.
All right. Well, happy payday. Happy warm up weekend.
You too, my friend.
See ya. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here on 21 Next. We appreciate you. Hopefully, it is payday for you tomorrow. Get some bills paid, have some fun, and enjoy 21 Next whenever it's on. To make sure you're catching it, you got to like, you got to subscribe. Hey, tell somebody else. We kind of like the way that we're getting the news from 21 Next online on YouTube. So there you go. We appreciate you. And once again, have a great Friday, everybody, and the rest of Thursday night. See ya.